If I told you the Chinese Communist Party was operating giant propaganda centers on American campuses, would you believe me? You should, because it's happening. Let's break it down. Step foot on a college campus in America, and there's a good chance you'll find a Confucius Institute. If you go into one of these big shiny buildings on campus or visit their website, they'll tell you they're nothing more than a cultural exchange center with the intention of spreading the Chinese language and teaching history to students on campus. They offer nice sounding programs like Tai Chi for beginners or the history of Chinese food. They partner with the university to ensure students are learning as much as possible about Chinese culture and heritage. That sounds nice, and it would be nice if that's actually what these centers were doing. You see, when the Chinese come to a college and offer to spend millions to build one of these institutes, they fail to mention the real reason they're on campus: to spread propaganda and control what's being said about China. They meet with professors and university administrators to influence curriculum in a way favorable to the Chinese government. In addition, they pressure students and professors to avoid speaking negatively of President Xi and the communist regime there, and they routinely monitor the presence of any anti-China activities on campus. Many universities have actually started to outsource their teaching obligations to these Confucius Institutes, allowing students to gain credit from courses taught by these Chinese Communist Party funded centers. That means that we have got American college students at an American taxpayer-funded school being taught history and language by a teacher hand-selected by the Chinese Communist Party. Oh, and also, according to our intelligence community, these Confucius Institutes may even be used as centers for cyber warfare and hacking efforts by the Chinese government. The Chinese themselves have actually made it very clear that spreading propaganda is exactly what they're trying to do. Liu Junshan, the former Chinese minister of propaganda, said Confucius Institutes are part of a plan to, quote, coordinate the efforts of overseas and domestic propaganda to further create a favorable international environment for us being China. He also said, quote, the Confucius brand has a natural attractiveness. Using the excuse of teaching Chinese language, everything looks reasonable and logical. And he's right. Since 2004, our colleges have fallen for this propaganda, and like he said, they viewed Confucius Institutes on campus as reasonable and logical. Despite our intelligence community sounding the alarm, warning that there are national security risks, and the Pentagon withdrawing funding from any school that allows a Confucius Center to operate, on 75 campuses around the country, you will still find these Chinese communist propaganda centers operating freely, spreading lies and deceit to our next generation. For those that don't have a problem with this, ask yourself a question. Do you trust the intentions of a hostile communist regime that imprisons millions of their own people in concentration camps, arrests doctors for speaking out, and bans any kind of speech the government doesn't like? Do you think a country that outlaws authors, websites, and social media platforms should have the power to influence our education system here in America? And where is the reciprocity? If you visit China, you won't find any American-funded Jefferson Centers or Lincoln Institutes extolling the virtues of capitalism and spreading ideas of freedom and liberty. No, Chinese colleges don't allow us to influence their curriculums. Why are we so foolish to allow them to influence ours? For the last 4 years, we've heard endless discussions about the dangers of foreign interference and foreign meddling in our election process, even though there's been almost zero evidence of that even taking place to begin with. But now, we have clear, indisputable evidence of legitimate foreign interference happening in our education system, and most people don't seem to care. Well, we care at Campus Reform. It's why we've launched a new site, campusreform.org/China, to report exclusively on their efforts to infiltrate our campuses so the American people can see just what's going on. It's time for our country to wake up and demand that universities shut down Confucius Institutes now. And if they won't, we must call on legislators to take action. Now, Congress has announced that they're going to be investigating Chinese efforts to infiltrate our campuses, but I'm asking, what is left to investigate? We already know what the Chinese are doing. They've openly admitted to it. Our intelligence communities and Defense Department have ample evidence to show just what the Chinese are doing, and it is all nefarious on our college campuses. The time for investigation has passed. The time for action has come. Our next generation depends on it. The integrity of our education system depends on it. And our national security depends on it as well. Join our fight at campusreform.org/China. I'm Cabot Phillips, Editor-in-Chief of Campus Reform. Thank you for watching.